You get a grant, you get a grant, you get a grant. Did you know that thousands of Aussies miss out on up to $50,000 in government grants every year just because they didn't know they exist? That's not going to happen to you. Today, we're unlocking every single first home buyer grant available in Australia in 2024 and 2025. Don't go leaving money on the table. If you're a first home buyer in Australia and you're not taking advantage of these grants and schemes, you're leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table. $10,000 in New South Wales, 20 grand in regional Victoria, a whopping $50,000 in Northern Territory. Wonder what these numbers mean? They're just a taste of the first homeowners grants that are available across Australia this year. In this video, I'm going to walk you through every single grant and scheme to make sure you can maximize your purchasing power and borrowing for your first home. So if you're considering buying your first home, you might be worried if you're eligible. I'm going to take you through everything in this comprehensive guide to answer what you're eligible for, breaking down every scheme state by state, and helping you turn your home ownership dreams into reality. But before I do, if you get any value from this video, make sure you give us a little thumbs up. And if you're a first home buyer looking for more content like this, feel free to hit subscribe below. All right, let's jump in. Federal schemes. Let's kick things off with the heavy hitters. The federal schemes apply to everyone nationwide. These beauties are going to help you out regardless of what state you're in. The first one up is the First Home Buyer Guarantee Scheme. This is a game changer for heaps of Aussies, helping you get in the market with a lower deposit. It's literally the best of both worlds. You can put in a 5% deposit and not pay lender's mortgage insurance. This is a bank fee that would normally cost you tens of thousands of dollars. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, there are a couple of hoops to jump through. Firstly, to be eligible for the scheme, you need to be a first home buyer or not have owned a home for the last 10 years. You need to be an Australian citizen, New Zealand citizen, or permanent resident living in Australia at least 18 years old. There are income caps too. So if you're buying on your own, your taxable income for the last financial year needs to be under $125,000. If you're buying as a couple, your combined income has to be under $200,000. And you can't just buy a place and rent it out. It has to be a home. You have to live there for at least 6 months. Depending on the state, you might need to be there longer to get the stamp duty concessions as well. Looking at the loan itself, there are limitations with this scheme. It needs to be a standard principal and interest loan, so you can't look at interest only or investment products, and it's a standard 30-year loan term. So you can't do interest only. This scheme is not called a first time investor scheme. It's the first home buyer scheme, and it's to help you get in the market. The other one that's a federal scheme that's awesome and totally underutilized is the First Home Super Saver Scheme. This scheme lets you save for your deposit using your superannuation fund. I know you're probably thinking isn't super for retirement, but it is, but the government lets you dip in early to help with home ownership. Here's how it works. You can save up to $15,000 per year and withdraw up to $50,000 in total for your deposit. The best part is you pay less tax on these savings compared to if you save them in a regular account. There are conditions with this scheme. You need to be a first home buyer and you need to live in the home for at least 6 months after you buy it. And just to be clear, I always get asked this, you can't use your employer's mandatory contributions. The First Home Super Saver Scheme relies on any extra voluntary contributions you make. So in other words, if your employer is paying you double super, they're paying 11% plus the extras, you can't touch that. You need to ask your employer, hey employer, I want to make extra voluntary contributions towards the First Home Super Saver. They'll take that from your weekly pay packet. You're going to get a little bit less in your bank account, but more in your First Home Super Savings. I'll help you get into the property ladder way quicker. There's also a third scheme for any single parents out there called the Family Home Guarantee Scheme. This scheme is similar to the Home Guarantee Deposit Scheme, so it allows you with a smaller deposit, but this scheme is targeted specifically for single parents and carers and helps you get in the market with just a 2% deposit, still avoiding that lender's mortgage insurance. Now, there still are the income caps. So as a single parent applying, you need to be earning less than $125,000 taxable income, which is tricky to get stuff at that borrowing capacity, but it is a foot in the door. The last one that's federally available is the Regional First Home Buyer Scheme. It's pretty much the same as the First Home Buyer Guarantee Scheme, 5% deposit, but you just need to be buying a home in regional areas outside the major metro areas. So that's the federal schemes in a nutshell. We've got different videos on each of these individual schemes, so check out our channel, but let's break it down state by state to see what's helping first home buyers get in the market. Let's start off with our most popular state. No populism here, just the most popular state, New South Wales. So New South Wales has a couple of tricks up its sleeve to help first home buyers get into the competitive property market. Let's start with the big one. The one that most people ask for is the First Home Owners Grant. This is for just new homes that have never been lived in before. And I know you're probably thinking, well, where am I going to find my dream home in Sydney for this grant? Well, just hear me out. Like, New South Wales government is offering $10,000 to first home buyers for either buying a brand new home that's never been lived in or building one. So this does count if you're buying a unit off the plan that hasn't been built yet and due to finish in the next couple of years. There are some conditions though. The property cap for newly built homes is $600,000, and if you're doing a house and land package constructing it yourself, it's up to $750,000. Has to be your first home, you need to live in it for at least 6 months. New South Wales also has a First Home Buyer Assistance Program. This is all about giving a bit of a break on stamp duty. If you're buying a home, an existing or a new home, up to $800,000, you're going to pay a cent on stamp duty. If you're buying something between $800 to $1 million, you get a bit of a discounted rate. Like I mentioned, this applies to both new and existing properties. So they're the two available in New South Wales. You either get the First Homeowners Grant if it's a brand new home, or the stamp duty concession, which is the one that is more widely available because a lot of people will be looking at existing homes. Next up, let's go to the land of great coffee, unpredictable weather, and fierce AFL rivalries. That's it, Victoria. So first up, the Victorian First Homeowners Grant. Now pay attention here because this one's a bit different. If you're buying or building a home in Metro Melbourne, you're going to look at a $10,000 grant. But if you're looking at regional Victoria, it doubles to go to $20,000. It's kind of like the government wanting you to get out of town. The catch is the new property needs to be valued at less than $750,000. In Melbourne, you might be looking at a nice apartment, but in regional Victoria, you could be looking at a proper house. Victoria also has the first home buyer duty exemption or concession. So in this one, it gives you a bit of a break on stamp duty. The caps are less than in Sydney. So in Victoria, you won't be paying for stamp duty if you buy a place for $600,000 or less. And if you find something between $600 to $750, you get a bit of a discounted rate. There's also something called the Victorian Home Buying Fund. This is a shared equity scheme, which might sound complicated, but stick with me. Basically, the government will own or chip in 25% of the purchase price, and in return, they're going to own that percentage of the home. You'll just need a 5% deposit, and the government contribution means you'll avoid paying lender's mortgage insurance. The negative of this scheme is the government owns that 25%. So if property values increase in the future, if you turn to investment property, you've got the government as your co-owner. There's also conditions around the scheme. Your income can't be more than $128,000 for singles and $204,000 for couples. And like I mentioned, when you eventually sell or refinance, you're going to need to buy out the government's share, so it can be a bit tricky. Let's head north to the Sunshine State in Queensland, which is famous for beaches, but also some good deals for first home buyers. First up, the big one, the big change that's just come in this year is the First Homeowners Grant, which is now $30,000 towards buying or building a brand new home. The catch is, again, the property needs to be valued at $750,000 or less. The next scheme available in Queensland is a first home concession. It's all about giving you a break on stamp duty. So if you're buying a home up to $700,000, there's no stamp duty in Queensland for first home buyers. If you're buying something for $700,000 to $800,000, you get a discounted rate. Concessions do change on vacant land. So if you are looking at vacant land, check out the stamp duty calculator on our website. If you're looking at going regional, you might be eligible for the regional home building boost. This is an extra $5,000 on top of the first homeowners grant. So if you're building a house in regional Queensland, you potentially get up to $35,000, provided you meet the other terms and conditions, mostly around that $750 value. Now, time to head west now to WA. The first homeowners grant in Western Australia is $10,000. Again, it applies only to brand new homes or units that have never been lived in before. Perth gets a bit confusing with the property value limits. The value limit is $750,000 if your home is south of the 26th parallel, which includes Perth and most major towns, or $1 million if you're up north. Where WA has a little bit of catching up to do is the stamp duty concession. So unlike the other states, it's a little bit lower. So if you're buying a home up to $430,000, stamp duty is waived, and it's only discounted between $430,000 and $530,000. Obviously, property prices in WA have gone nuts over the last 12 months, so keep an eye on that. Hopefully the government catches up. Western Australia has also introduced a BuildForMe scheme. This is a shared equity program aimed at lower income earners who are struggling to get to the property market. Under this scheme, the government will co-own up to 30% of the property with you. Time to look at South Australia now, famous for Barossa Shiraz, but also some reasonable deals, I guess, for first home buyers. The first one is the First Homeowners Grant. This is generous. It's $15,000 for a brand new home, but only valued up to $575,000. So you're probably looking more regional or apartment in Adelaide if there's something off the plan. Now with stamp duty, it kind of isn't great in South Australia. They don't have specific stamp duty concessions for first home buyers, but they do offer a general concession based on the property value. Say if you're buying an existing home in South Australia for $400,000, in other states, the stamp duty is waived. In Adelaide, you're still paying $20,000 for that stamp duty. So keep that in mind. It's going to move around your deposit figures because you're going to need to come up with a 5% deposit plus the stamp duty if you're buying in Adelaide. All right, let's go across to the Bass Strait to Tasmania. We've got the First Homeowners Grant Tasmania for $10,000 if you're building a brand new home or buying a brand new one. The good thing about this one is there's no property price cap. So if you're buying something in Hobart or Launceston, doesn't matter where, potentially get this as long as it's a brand new property. On stamp duty, Tasmania offers 100% discount on transfer duty for first home buyers buying a home up to $750,000 if you're buying between Feb 2024 and June 2026. So whether you're buying new or established, you could save a bunch. That's about it though. Looking at Northern Territory next, the government's giving some massive grants to get people up there. First off, there's the HomeGrown Territory Grant, boosting the First Homeowners Grant from $10,000 to a staggering $50,000 if you're buying a brand new home or building new in the territory. And there's no cap on property prices. So whether you're buying an apartment or a house, you would be eligible for this grant. But it doesn't stop there. If you're a first home buyer looking at an established home in Northern Territory, the grant still offers $10,000 to help you seal the deal. Again, there's no price on it, which is pretty crazy. It's only for contracts dated from the 1st of October 2024. So if you sign something before then, you're not going to be eligible. And for those who aren't first home buyers but ready for a fresh start, the Fresh Start New Home Grant dishes out $30,000 towards building or purchasing a new home. And it's a good opportunity to move up to the NT. There's also access to low deposit loans and the whole home build access, helping you get your foot in the door. Last up, and often forgotten, is Canberra at ACT. The star of the show here is the home buyer concession concession scheme. Now pay attention, this one's a little bit different. Instead of a cash grant, the ACT is offering to waive your stamp duty entirely. That's right, no stamp duty for eligible first home buyers, but there are some conditions. There is an income threshold that you need to meet, so a family can earn up to $160,000 to be eligible. I'll include some links that below. Remember, each state and territory has its own unique offering, some with cash grants, often with stamp duty waivers, but a lot of them are about new homes, so keep that in mind. The key is understanding what your goals are, what you're looking to do with your home, and where you're looking to buy. And that's where it comes back to your goals. It's important about being clear about what you want, the areas you want to live, and then we can work out home loan options and grants that fit your situation. At Hunter Galloway, the home for home buyers across Australia, we can sit down and give you a free assessment on what grants you're eligible for, your borrowing capacity, what's available in your location, and what's going to work out best for you. We help people all around Australia. So if you need help from anywhere from Perth to Queensland, everything in between, hit us up at huntergalloway.com.au. And until next time, I'll see you later.